नमस्कार। ओम गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरु देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। Today before the class we have a treat for you. There's an Auntie Ji who's visiting from London. She'll be singing the bhajan for us and then we'll start our class. Okay, Auntie Ji, please. Rita, looks like she cannot unmute. You're having more problems today than.
Okay,
yes.
abhi ho gaya.
Okay, all right, ho gaya na? Good. Please, thank you. Hari Om. Mane evo pagal karjo bhajanama, evo pagal karjo. Mane evo pagal karjo bhajan mein, evo pagal karjo. भान भूलू हूँ जग माया नो, भान भूलू हूँ जग माया नो, द्वंद्व विकारो हर जो, मुक्ति न पंथ ने अन्य विषयों मां, मुक्ति न पंथ ने अन्य विषयों मां, ध्यान तुम चरणे धरजो रे मने, एवो पागल करजो मने, एवो पागल करजो भजन मां, एवो पागल करजो। पगले पगले श्वासे श्वासे, पगले पगले श्वासे श्वासे, रोमे रोमे रमजो, अंतरणी करवास विकारो, अंतरणी करवास विकारो, आंसुड़ा थई वरसो रे मने, एवो पागल करजो मने, एवो पागल करजो भजन में, एवो पागल करजो। तारा विना हूँ काई नव देखू, तारा विना हूँ काई नव देखू, एवा नयन करजो। रसना मारी जप जपे सो, रसना मारी जप जपे सो, सन्मुख दर्शन देजो रे मने, एवो पागल करजो मने, एवो पागल करजो भजन में, एवो पागल करजो। काम क्रोध लोभ रहे ना, काम क्रोध लोभ रहे ना, क्षण मोहित करजो। ज्ञान धर्मनी पगदंडी मां, ज्ञान धर्मनी पगदंडी मां, हृदय कमल मां वसजो रे मने, एवो पागल करजो मने, एवो पागल करजो भजन मां, एवो पागल करजो। Beautiful, wasn't it? So we'll get a chance to hear another one. So सुरेखा, ये चैप्टर के बाद एक और, ठीक है?
अच्छा, समझायो बेटा, समझायो?
हाँ, समझ आ गए, बहुत बहुत सुंदर, बहुत अच्छा, मजा आ गया। So chapter 9, removing your inner thorn. It's a short chapter. So let's go through this, and then we'll have another bhajan, and then a bhajan by Poonam also. The spiritual journey is one of constant transformation. Okay, this says it all. If there's no transformation, we are not on the journey. In order to grow, you must give up the struggle to remain the same and learn to embrace change at all times. One of the most important areas requiring change is how we solve our personal problems. We normally attempt to solve our inner disturbances by protecting ourselves. Real transformation begins when you embrace your problems as agents for growth. In order to understand how this process works, let's examine the following situation. Imagine that you have a thorn in your arm that directly touches a nerve. When the thorn is touched, it's very painful. Because it hurts so much, the thorn is a serious problem. It's difficult to sleep because you roll over on it. It's hard to get close to people because they might touch it. It makes your daily life very difficult. You can't even go for a walk in the woods because you might brush the thorn against the branches. This thorn is a constant source of disturbance. And to solve the problem, you only have two choices. The first choice is to look at your situation and decide that since it's so disturbing, when things touch the thorn, you need to make sure nothing touches it. The second choice is to decide that since it's so disturbing, when things touch the thorn, you need to take it out. Believe it or not, the effects of the choice you make will determine the course of the rest of your life. This is one of the core level structural decisions that lay the foundation for your future. Let's begin with the first choice and explore how it will affect your life. If you decide you have to keep things from touching the thorn, then that becomes the work of a lifetime. If you want to go for a walk in the woods, you will have to thin out the branches to make sure you don't brush against them. Since you often roll over and touch the thorn when you sleep, you will have to find a solution for that as well. Perhaps you could design an apparatus that acts as a protective device. But if you really put a lot of energy into it and your solution seemed to work, you would think that you had solved your problem. You would say, I can sleep now. And guess what? I got to go on TV to give a testimonial. Anybody who has the thorn problem can get my protective device. And I even get paid royalties. So now you have got a whole life built around this thorn and you are proud of it. You keep the woods thinned out and you wear the apparatus to bed at night. But now you have a new problem. You fell in love. This is a problem because in your situation, it's hard to even hug. Nobody can touch you because they might touch the thorn. So you design another kind of a device that allows closeness amongst people without actually touching. Eventually, you decide you want total mobility without having to worry about the thorn anymore. So you make a full-time device that doesn't have to be unstrapped at night or changed over for hugging and other daily activities. But it's heavy. So you put wheels on it, control it with hydraulics, and install collision sensors. It's actually quite an impressive device. Of course, you have to change the doors in the house so that the protective apparatus could get through. But at least now you can live your life. You can go to work, go to sleep, get close to people. So you announce to everyone, I have solved my problem. I'm a free being. I can go anywhere I want. I can do anything I want. This thorn used to run my life. Now it doesn't run anything. The truth is, the thorn completely runs your entire life. It affects all your decisions, including where you go, whom you are comfortable with, and who's comfortable with you. It determines where you are allowed to work, what house you can live in, and what kind of bed you can sleep on at night. When it's all said and done, that thorn is running every aspect of your life. It turns out that the life of protecting yourself from your problem becomes a perfect reflection of the problem itself. You didn't solve anything. If you don't solve the root cause of the problem, but instead attempt to protect yourself from the problem, it ends up running your life. You end up so psychologically fixated on the problem that you can't see the forest for the trees. You actually feel that because you have minimized the pain of the problem, you have solved the problem, but it's not solved. All you did was devote your life to avoiding it. It is now the center of your universe. It's all there is. In order to apply the analogy of the thorn to your whole life, we will use loneliness as an example. Let's say you have a very deep sense of inner loneliness. It's so deep that you have trouble sleeping at night. And during the day, it makes you very sensitive. You are susceptible to feeling sharp pangs in your heart that cause quite a disturbance. You have trouble staying focused on your job, and you have trouble with everyday interactions. What's more, when you are very lonely, it's often painfully difficult to get close to people. You see, loneliness is just like the thorn. It causes pain and disturbance in all aspects of your life. But in the case of the human heart, we have more than one thorn. This is a key point here. It's not just one thorn, many thorns. We have sensitivities about loneliness, about rejection, about our physical appearance, and about our mental prowess. We are walking around with lots of thorns touching right against the most sensitive parts of our hearts. At any moment, something can touch them and cause pain inside. You have the same two choices with these inner thorns as you did with the thorn in your arm. Surely it was obvious that you would have been much better off taking out that thorn. There's no reason to spend your life protecting the thorn from getting touched when you can just remove it. Once the thorn is removed, you are truly free of it. The same is true with your inner thorns. They can be removed. But if you choose to keep them without being disturbed by them, you must modify your life to avoid the situations that would stir them up. If you're lonely, you must avoid going to places where couples tend to be. If you're afraid of rejection, you must avoid getting too close to people. If you do this, however, it is for the same reason that you thinned out the woods. You are attempting to adjust your life to make allowance for your thorns. In the earlier example, the thorns were outside. Now they are inside. When you're lonely, you find yourself pondering what to do about your loneliness. What is it that you can say or do in order to not feel so lonely? Notice that you aren't asking how to get rid of the problem. You're asking how to protect yourself from feeling it. You do this either by avoiding situations or by using people, places, and things as protective shields. You're going to end up just like the person with the thorn. The loneliness will run your entire life. You will marry the person who makes you feel less lonely. And you will think that's natural and normal. But it's exactly the same as the person who is avoiding the pain of the thorn instead of taking it out. You have not removed the root of loneliness. You have only attempted to protect yourself from feeling it. Should someone die or leave you, the loneliness would again disturb you. The problem will be back the moment the external situation fails to protect you from what's inside. If you do not remove the thorn, you will end up responsible for both the thorn and everything you pulled around yourself in an attempt to avoid it. Should you be fortunate enough to find someone who manages to diminish the feeling of loneliness, you will then begin worrying about keeping your relationship with this person. You have managed to compound the issue by avoiding the problem. This is exactly the same as using the apparatus to compensate for the thorn. You have to adjust your life accordingly. The minute you allow the core problem to stay, it expands out into multiple problems. It wouldn't dawn on you to just get rid of it. Instead, the only solution you see is to try to avoid feeling it. Now you have no choice but to go out and fix everything that affects it. You have to worry about how you dress and how you talk. You have to worry about what people think of you because that could affect your feeling of loneliness or need for love. If someone is attracted to you and this eases your feeling of loneliness, you wish you could say, how do I need to act in order to please you? I can be any way you want. I just don't want to feel these periods of loneliness anymore. You now have this burden of worrying about the relationship. It creates an experience of underlying tension and discomfort, and it can even affect your sleep at night. The truth is, however, the discomfort you're experiencing isn't actually the feeling of loneliness. It is the never ending thoughts of, did I say the right thing? Does she really likes me? Or am I just kidding myself? The root problem is now buried under all these shallower issues that are all about avoiding the deeper ones. It all gets very complicated. People end up using their relationships to hide their thorns. If you care for each other, you are expected to adjust your behavior to avoid bumping into each other's soft spots. This is what people do. They let the fear of their inner thorns affect their behavior. They end up limiting their lives just like someone living with an external thorn. Ultimately, if there is something disturbing inside of you, you have to make a choice. You can compensate for the disturbance by going outside in an attempt to avoid feeling it, or you can simply remove the thorn and not focus your life around it. Do not doubt your ability to remove the root cause of the disturbance inside of you. It really can go away. You can look deep within yourself to the core of your being and decide that you don't want the weakest part of you running your life. You want to be free of this. You want to talk to people because you find them interesting, not because you are lonely. You want to have relationships with people because you genuinely like them, not because you need for them to like you. You want to love because you truly love, not because you need to avoid your inner problems. How do you free yourself? In the deepest sense, you free yourself by finding yourself. Underline this, finding yourself. You are not the pain you feel, nor are you the pain part that periodically stresses out. None of these disturbances have anything to do with you. You are the one who notices those things. Because your consciousness is separate and aware of these things, you can free yourself. So again, creating a little separation between you and the seen, seer and the seen. To free yourself of your inner thorns, you simply stop playing with them. The more you touch them, the more you irritate them. Because you're always doing something to avoid feeling them, they are not given the chance to naturally work themselves out. If you want, you can simply permit the disturbances to come up and you can let them go. Since your inner thorns are simply blocked energies from the past, they can be released. The problem is you either completely avoid situations that would cause them to release or you push them back down in the name of protecting yourself. Suppose you are sitting at home watching TV. You are enjoying the program until the two main characters fall in love. Suddenly you feel loneliness, but there's no one around to give you attention. Interestingly, you were fine just a few minutes ago. This example shows that the thorn is always in your heart. It's just not activated until something touches it. You feel the reaction as a hollowness or a dropping sensation in your heart. Feels very uncomfortable. A sense of weakness comes over you, and you begin thinking about other times when you were left alone and of people who have hurt you. Stored energy from the past releases from the heart and generates thoughts. Now, instead of enjoying TV, you are sitting alone, caught in a wave of thoughts and emotions. What can you do to solve this besides eating something, calling somebody, or doing something else that might quiet it down? What can you do is to notice that you noticed. You can notice that your consciousness was watching TV and now it's watching your inner melodrama. The one who sees this is you, the subject. What you are looking at is an object. A feeling of emptiness is an object. It is something you feel, but who feels it? Your way out is to just notice who's noticing. It's really that simple. It is much less complex than the protective apparatus with all its ball bearings, wheels, and hydraulics. All you have to do is notice who it is that feels the loneliness. The one who notices is already free. If you want to be free of these energies, you must allow them to pass through you instead of hiding them inside of you. Ever since you were a child, you have had energies going on inside. Wake up and realize that you are in there and you have a sensitive person in there with you. Simply watch that sensitive part of you feel disturbance. See it feel jealousy, need, and fear. These feelings are just part of the nature of a human being. If you pay attention, you will see that they are not you. They are just something you are feeling and experiencing. You are the indwelling being that is aware of all of this. If you maintain your center, you can learn to appreciate and respect even the difficult experiences. For example, some of the most beautiful poetry and music have come from people who were in turmoil. Great art comes from the depth of one's being. You can experience these very human states without getting lost in them or resisting them. You can notice that you notice and just watch how experiencing loneliness affects you. Does your posture change? Do you breathe slower or faster? What goes on when loneliness is given the space it needs to pass through you? Be an explorer. Witness it, and then it will go. If you don't get absorbed in it, the experience will soon pass and something else will come up. Just enjoy all of it. If you can do this, you'll be free, and a world of pure energy will open up within you. The more you sit in the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. When you are no longer absorbed in your melodrama, but instead sit comfortably deep inside the seat of awareness, you will start to feel this flow of energy coming up from deep within. This flow has been called Shakti. This flow has been called spirit. This is what you begin to experience if you hang out with the self instead of hanging out with inner disturbances. You don't have to get rid of loneliness. You just cease to be involved with it. It's just another thing in the universe, like cars, grass, and the stars. It's none of your business. Just let things go. That's what the self does. Awareness does not fight. Awareness releases. Awareness is simply aware while everything in the universe parades before it. If you sit within the self, you will experience the strength of your inner being. Even when your heart feels weak, this is the essence of the path. This is the essence of a spiritual life. Once you learn that it's okay to feel inner disturbances and that they can no longer disturb your state of consciousness, you'll be free. You will begin to be sustained by the inner energy flow that comes from behind you. When you have tasted the ecstasy of the inner flow, you can walk in this world and the world will never touch you. That's how you become a free being. You transcend. So now I would like Auntie Ji, please sing another bhajan for us so that we can feel this flow of energy inside us. Okay.
बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा. हरि तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी, प्रभु तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी. ना जाऊँ मथुरा, ना जाऊँ गोकुल, ना जाऊँ मैं काशी. मोहे भरोसो एक तुम्हारो, मोहे भरोसो एक तमारो दीनबंधु अविनाशी। हरि तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी। हरि तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी। कोई व्रत कोई नेम करत है, कोई व्रत कोई नेम करत है, कोई रहे बनवासी। मैं चरणों को ध्यान लगाऊं, मैं चरणों को ध्यान लगाऊं, सबसे है ऊंचाई। हरि तेरे चरण की मैं हूँ दासी। हरि तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी। नहीं राजपाट कछु मांगू, नहीं राजपाट कछु मांगू, नहीं भोग विलासी। ब्रह्मानंद चरण मुझको दर्शन के प्यासी। हरि तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी। प्रभु तेरे चरणन की मैं हूँ दासी। आज सखी, दूसरा भजन थोड़ा विचार करी छे।
ठीक है।
आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, मेरो मन अतिया नंद भयो रे, मेरो मन अतिया नंद भयो रे। आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए। दर्शन से सब पाप निवार्यो, दर्शन से सब पाप निवार्यो, दुख दारिद्र सब दूर भयो रे, दुख दारिद्र सब दूर भयो रे। आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, अमृत वचन सुनत तब नाच्यो, अमृत वचन सुनत तब नाच्यो, घट भीतर प्रभु पायलियो रे, घट भीतर प्रभु पायलियो रे। आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, जन्म जन्म के संशय टूटे, जन्म जन्म के संशय टूटे, भव भय ताप मिटाई दियो रे, भव भय ताप मिटाई दियो रे। आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए, आज सखी सद गुरु घर आए। सदगुरुदेव।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Very good.
है ना? What a the voice which
Pleasing
is
voice.
devotion, bhakti, bhakti, nothing else but bhakti. है ना? So we got a lot to learn in say. So any question on what we studied today?
Okay,